Today we're making a very easy prepper pot pie using these ingredients, which everyone can find in their pantry. A can of diced potatoes, a can of cream of chicken condensed soup, a can of evaporated milk, which is slightly expired, a can of diced peas and carrots, and a can of chunked chicken breast. And then 1 box of Jiffy Pie Crust Mix, which expired almost a year ago in May 2021. Oh well, we're going to try it. And then a bunch of spices. You can choose the spices that you prefer. So let's go ahead and get this mixed up. Most things that are in your pantry that say best by such and such date, you can use well beyond that date. So I'm going to show you that you can use this at least a year after the expiration. Looks fine. So let's go ahead and make our pie crust. It calls for 4 to 5 tablespoons of water. I'm going to go ahead and do 5 tablespoons. 3, 4, 5. Give it a good mix. You want your pie crust to have a doughy consistency, but not so doughy that you're not able to shape it in your hands. So we'll see how this worked out. It's a little doughy. I'm going to preheat my oven to 425 real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my casserole pan and butter up the bottom. For the bottom layer of pie crust, I want it to crisp up. And I'm afraid that without some butter on the bottom, it's not going to crisp quite well enough. Or it just might stick to the bottom. You don't have to really grease or bottom the butter. Grease the bottom with butter. So yeah, this is way too sticky. This is not going to be able to shape very well without sticking all over my hands. So I'm definitely going to add some flour. Not sure how much that was. Maybe 2 tablespoons? Tablespoon and a half. So now I'm able to fold it over and kind of work with it without it sticking to my hands as much. And that's the consistency that you want. So I'm shaping it into a ball, and then I'm going to divide my dough into 2 equal parts. And just set 1/2 of it aside. And then in your greased casserole pan, baking pan, whatever you want to call it, just kind of work the dough and push it into the bottom, into an even layer. Just spread it all out. Doesn't have to be perfect because you won't see it anyway. But of course, I'm going to try to make it as perfect as I can. This is going to go in the oven for 5 minutes or so. just to have it pre-cook a little. I'm still waiting for my oven to preheat, so I'll go ahead and get my condensed cream of chicken soup, and we're going to start the pot pie mixture. You see Obi's nose popping up. He's curious about what I just opened. And if I spill or drop anything, he will get it right away. He is quick. I think this was like 14.5 ounce can, somewhere around there. Next, I'm going to open the evaporated milk. Just give it a good shake. It's been sitting on the shelf for a while, so I want to make sure to incorporate it. And I'm going to use half a cup. I'm making this recipe up as I go. So I'm going to start with half a cup of evaporated milk. It all just seemed like it would kind of taste good together, so I'm giving it a try. Now the peas and carrots. And this is a little 8.5 ounce can, something like that. It's a smaller can. I drained it, added it to the mixture. And then my diced potatoes. These are the smaller diced potatoes. They make bigger chunks, but I'm going with the smaller ones. And that's going to get drained. Now, I don't want to use all of these potatoes because I think it would just be way too much potatoes, so I'm leaving a little in the can. I'll probably use 2/3 of it. And then my chunk chicken breast. That's also going to get drained. When you see it's in big chunks, you're going to have to kind of break those chunks up and mix it in. But the condensed milk and cream of chicken gives it a really creamy consistency off the bat. So just make sure everything's evenly distributed and your chicken is broken up. Okay, that's what it looks like. Nice and creamy, but it's a little thick. So I'm going to add just a little bit of evaporated milk, just one more splash. And then go ahead with your seasonings. I'm going to do some black pepper. I love pepper. A little bit of salt. I'm not going to do too much because all these ingredients are already pretty salty. And then this is some garlic and herb seasoning I got at the Dollar Tree. You can put whatever you want. I'm going to do some chopped onion. It's basically like bigger dehydrated or dried onions. I'm going to estimate like 2 tablespoons, somewhere around there is what I'm putting in there. Now, if you want to put some fresh chopped onions, maybe 1/3 of an onion would be good in this mixture. Then a little tiny bit of cumin. Cumin? I don't know. How do you say it? Cumin. And then more garlic for good measure. Garlic and pepper are my absolute favorite seasonings. And give that a good mix. Now that's going in for 5 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and flour my clean countertop. And we're going to work this other half of the pie crust mix into a flat rectangular shape as best as you can get it. This is going to be your top crust layer. And I don't have a rolling pin. I should, but all I have is this water bottle, and it works really well. I use this anytime I need to roll something out. So don't judge me. I am not Betty Crocker. So I'm just going to keep rolling it out the best that I can until it's about the size of that casserole pan that I have. I'm sure a rolling pin would be a lot easier, but you know what? It works. I rolled it out a little bit more, you can see. Now, the pie crust was in there for 5 minutes in the oven, so I took that out. And just going to add my mixture onto the top of that. Just go ahead and dump it all on. My OCD will not let me not spread this out as evenly as possible, so I'm sorry. Now go ahead and take the top layer pie crust that you rolled out and place it on top as best you can. If you have some pieces that go over the edges, just take a knife and cut them off. I don't want to burn my hand while I'm doing this because the pan is very hot. Now I'm just going to put the extra pie crust over here where there were some bare spots. It's not going to look super pretty, but you know what? It doesn't matter because it should taste just as good. So now the whole top layer is covered. I'm going to go ahead and ventilate it or score the top so that the some air can get out. And then that went in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. I think it wound up being 20 minutes. And it feels nice and good, but I'm going to go ahead and take some melted butter and put it over the top just to give it an extra crisp. And I'm going to throw it on broil for like 2 or 3 minutes just to give it that crispy golden top layer. So that's what it looks like when it comes out. Just a few minutes on broil. And it looks pretty nice from the side. This is the easiest pot pie you'll ever make. And I'm impatient, so I am not even going to wait until it cools off. I'm going to try to cut me a piece. See if I can scoop it up without spilling all over. All right. It's kind of a casserole pot pie. Sometimes the pie tins are just too time consuming. This is just an easy way to make it. And as you can see, it looks beautiful. I think so, at least. I'm going to go ahead and try this, even though it's probably going to burn my mouth. It's delicious. That is really good. So the bottom layer is a little soft, the bottom crust, but the top is nice and flaky. And it's just that perfect combination of flaky crust and soft gooey center. I'm definitely going to make this again. Super easy, super quick, and it's all shelf-stable ingredients that you can get from your pantry.